This is one of my favorite laptops from 2024, but I've struggled to film this video over the past 2 months. And even right now, I've taken like 10 cuts of this introduction because I'm struggling to understand how to present an amazing laptop that I really like to such a critical audience. No offense. I mean, you might not be one of the high critics, but there are critics all over YouTube ready to pounce on the slightest notion that I might be trying to sell something that isn't of the right value to them. And I think that's the problem that I see so much with YouTube content is misalignment of value. I have seen so many people push, this is the best laptop with the best performance, the best thing I've ever seen, almost in every single video. And I have made it a really strong focus on my channel not to do that, which is why for me, this laptop, which doesn't have the best performance, it doesn't have the best screen brightness, it's a little bit heavier than other laptops in its category, and the battery life doesn't even match up to others with similar components. Why in the world would this be one of my top picks? It's mainly because in my life and in general, I'm trying to get off the better, faster, stronger, newer hamster wheel. It is absolutely exhausting, I'm sure, as a consumer, as much as it is as a tech reviewer, to have all of this new performance, faster performance, AI always thrown at you at every turn. And so in this video, we're diving into a laptop that I just get to truly enjoy showing you and not have to prove to you why you should buy this, because maybe you shouldn't. I'm talking about none other than the Alienware X16 R2. I gotcha. It's an HP EliteBook with a Snapdragon, which I don't really care about. This is a beautiful laptop. Snapdragon may be great for us creative professionals one day, but you still can't run the basic apps on them. So until then, I don't think I'm going to be reviewing them. Pretty sassy in this video today. I absolutely love this laptop, from the internal build to the external design to the keyboard to the Alienware command center. Everything screams simplicity and build quality. You might disagree. That's fine. Comment below. Tell me how much you disagree. I'd love to hear about it. Let's take a look at the X16. Now I'm going to pull up the Legion Pro 7i. The X16 is thinner than the Legion Pro 7i, although it is a little bit heavier, so keep that in mind. Now, to me, this is going to be kind of the main Legion competitor in my mind. This has been one of my top tier favorite gaming laptops on the market for the past few years. However, there's a few things that I don't like about this laptop, which are answered by the X16, which is why it's one of my favorite laptops in 2024. It solved a lot of the problems that I've experienced with the Legion Pro 7i. Now, keep in mind, the Legion Pro 7i is going to be the better performer. If you want to get an Alienware laptop with an i9-14900HX CPU, you're going to have to get the M18. Okay, so you got to go up a bigger laptop to get the performance. This is going to have the Intel Core Ultra 9, which is going to be a benefit to you, and we'll talk about that later in some of the other review elements of this video. So we have a thinner and more refined chassis. I'm going to pull this off the table just so you can now move on and keep focused on the X16. Now, as you can see, as we flip over the laptop, we have an aluminum bottom cover as well as that top cover that you had a peek at. We have a huge vent on the bottom cover as well as vents along this side. So the cool thing about these vents is they go from the top all the way through, and they're not little chintzy vents. You can see as I open up the laptop, the fans come through on both sides here. Fans kicked on really quickly to get the laptop started up, and then they'll die out very quickly. But they keep the laptop cool, and they are a very, very nice frequency. They are not squeaky or rattly. They don't have a high whine to them. They're very discreet. Even when getting up to about the 55 decibel range, they are not aggressive and annoying, which I really like. They're a really good fan system. It actually comes with 4 fans within the chassis. So you go ahead and open the bottom cover, and there's 4 individual fans within this laptop, which is interesting for the Intel Core Ultra 9 185H because that's technically a more efficient CPU, but they still have kept the 4 fans. So that way 2 fans don't have to work as hard. Therefore, you have a lower decibel of fan noise, While exporting the 4K footage, I saw only 42 to 45 decibels of fan noise. So those 4 fans work together very well to keep the laptop cool, but also quiet. During that 4K export, the temperatures were 79 to 83 degrees Celsius. And then right at the tail end of the export, which is where Premiere Pro always kind of ramps up to finish the export, we did see 93 to 100 degrees Celsius for about 15 to 20 seconds, and that was at about 46 decibels. But the crazy thing is we're only at 5% CPU usage for that export. Now, if we go ahead and we export 6K footage, you're gonna have about 65% of CPU usage, and you're gonna have about 56 decibels of fan noise, 56 to 62, depending on the export and the conditions of your room. Maybe if you're outside, it's a little hotter. I'm in a pretty cool room. And that sat at around 102 degrees Celsius for the entire export. All right, let's go ahead and move back towards the build quality and assembly. Then we're gonna check out the upgrade path. So you can see with the assembly of the laptop, you have this really beautiful RGB band that wraps around the back vents, as well as the port selection here. So you have a headphone jack, micro SD card reader, 2 USB Type-Cs, HDMI, 2 USB-As, a mini display port, and then of course your power adapter. I would personally prefer another USB-C over the mini display ports. That'd be one ding on this laptop, which I don't love, but it definitely has a nice selection of ports. Now going ahead and looking at the side panels, as I mentioned, there's really nice ventilation coming out here. And then you have some supporting speakers on the top of the laptop here, as well as along the front side of the laptop. The speakers on this laptop are excellent. That's one thing that really stood out to me compared to some other gaming laptops like the Legion Pro 7i or the Legion Pro 5 or say the Dell G5 Gaming. This is more of their premium lineup. And something like the HP Omens, this has really superior audio. Now, if you look at something like the latest G16 or the G14, those have great audio as well. They really designed them to have those great upward-facing speakers. So I would say it would be comparable, but the G16 might be a little bit better because it has a dedicated speaker set on the top of the keyboard deck, where the main speakers for this laptop are coming out here on the bottom and just some support on the top. So keep that in mind. So you've kind of the main speakers coming out here on the bottom, and then you have the tweeters and the woofers here on the top. So that's that supporting sound that really creates a nice immersive audio experience. Now let's go ahead and take a look at the internals. Now you do not have access to the RAM on this laptop. It is soldered to the motherboard. However, you do have 2 M.2 slots within the laptop. And I really like the M.2 slots. I love the design of where they're configured. They're very easy to access, secure. Pop open the slot. There's an open slot. There's as well as the boot drive. I personally would not swap out that boot drive, but you can if you would like to. But you can easily add an additional 2 or 4 terabytes to this laptop very quickly by pulling off the screws, sliding out the bottom cover, and accessing that. Now, what's bigger is, as mentioned earlier, those 4 fans. Because of the 4 fans, they don't have to run as high as speeds to keep the system cool, so therefore you do not hear as loud of fan noise, which is a huge bonus for me on this laptop. Now, let's go ahead and flip the laptop over and open it up real quick. Do that with one hand. Opens and closes very easily. Now, one thing that stands out to me is the screen bounce stops pretty quickly. It's not as quick as the Legion Pro 7i, which I think almost doesn't even bounce at all, but it has very little bounce. So if you're in an airplane or you're on a train and you use your laptop a lot while commuting, this will not have that annoying bounce on something like the HP Omen or the HP Victus, which bounces like crazy. Now, looking at the screen flex, it is a little bit flexy. That's one thing I noticed. So keep in mind, you're going to have some screen flex on the X16. Now, moving around to check out the keyboard, this is definitely a huge highlight for me. The keyboard on this laptop is a Cherry MX keyboard, and it feels so nice. It does have that little spring sound, that ding, 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 which is so satisfying if you're a classic gaming keyboard fanatic, which I am personally. Once shifting over to like a classic full-size Cherry keyboard, I am struggling to ever go back. Now, I do have, Ultrabooks that I use on the go, and so with that, I kind of gotten used to using a thin keyboard. When I'm at home, I want my full-size gaming keyboard. It's just so nice to type on. Now, what I also love about this, which some people wouldn't, but I do, is that there is no numpad. I love when a laptop has a centered keyboard and a centered trackpad. Now, one complaint I do have is this trackpad is rather small, though absolutely beautiful. I love the RGB backlit trackpad. I think it is so cool. It is so unique. The M16 has a ring around it, where this one is completely backlit. Now, it is a little small, but figuring that most people, especially myself, if you're going to be seriously editing or creating on this laptop, you're going to go ahead and grab a mouse. That allows the fans up here to really take up a lot of that space in order to keep the laptop cool and quiet. And I would rather have a cool, quiet laptop than a larger trackpad personally, especially if this is going to be my main workhorse machine. I am trying to look at this laptop as something that you can do a little bit of everything with. If you're somebody who doesn't have the opportunity to have two stations, right? I have a full editing rig here with a full desktop PC. But if I were to have something that would be only the laptop that I'd be editing on, this would be super nice and flexible, really well built, and the keyboard is gorgeous. Here's a little sample of the keyboard in use so you can hear what it sounds like for yourself. Earlier, we were talking so much about the speakers, and I forgot to give you an audio sample. So here's a quick audio sample of the speakers so you can hear what they sound like. And finally, for our test, this does have a webcam. Here's a sample of the webcam in use so you can see and hear it for yourself. This is the webcam on the Alienware X16 R2 and a little sample of the audio for you as well. Okay, now let's get into two areas that might turn some people away from this laptop, if we're gonna be totally honest. The first would be the battery life. Although this has an Intel Core Ultra 9 185H, it does not get the best battery life. You can see the battery life results coming up on the screen. And as I said, I was rather disappointed being that this laptop does come with an efficient processor. So 6 hours and 49 minutes for PassMark productivity, 7 hours and 21 for streaming video playback, 3 hours and 30 for Photoshop, and just barely over 2 hours for video editing. This does come with an RTX 4080. This does not have the ability to turn off the dedicated GPU and use only the integrated graphics on the Intel Core Ultra. If we were able to do that, that would be an area where I think we would see a little bit better battery life. But unfortunately, that is not an option here. I looked into the different presets inside of the Alienware Command Center, and it does not have that. It does have the ability to go into overdrive to get more performance out of the laptop, but on balanced and quiet mode, it does not turn off the dedicated GPU. And so the dedicated GPU is pulling some of that power while running just regular tasks. Now, it is to be considered that the new Intel Core Ultra 9s are supposed to be a little bit more AI intelligent, but as you can see with the battery life results, that's not the case for this specific laptop. Now, if we get any updates, I'll be sure to film, 1 week or 1 month later and drop you some updates on maybe how you can get better battery life out of this laptop. Now, another thing would be the display. Although it is a QHD display, it has 100% sRGB, 92% Adobe RGB, and 99% DCI-P3, all at a delta E of 0.85. It does only reach 353 nits of screen brightness. And so categorically, if you want to have a really bright screen, you want to be above the 400 nits. But if you're in a quite dim room, or you work normally in an office or a classroom and you're not working outside a lot, 353 nits is enough. But it might sway a few people away who want higher screen brightness, so just keep that in mind. Okay, let's go ahead and take a look at the weight and thickness. Like I said, this is one of the more heavy laptops that I have reviewed in the 16-inch category. Weighs in at 5.89 pounds, so almost 6 pounds. And then when you throw the 330-watt charger block onto it with the cord, which is down on the floor right now, it reaches 8.07 pounds. Now keep in mind, this is a 330-watt charger block, which for the amount of wattage that this is producing, this is a fairly compact charger block for 330 watts. I reviewed an HP Omen 17, I think 2 years ago, and it was a 330 watt charger block. It was this big. How massive this charger block was. It was ridiculous. And that was a 330 watt as well. So to see how compact this one is incredible. This is about the same size as Lenovo's 300 or even 240 I've seen 240s even close to this size. So just keep that in mind. Okay, now without further ado, let's get into the performance benchmarks. And this is where I want to kind of show you that this laptop still has amazing performance, but it is just not the top performer. It's not its goal. And before we get into that, keep in mind, this laptop is not budget friendly. I'm not reviewing this laptop because I think it is the best bang for buck. I'm reviewing it because I think it's one of the best premium laptops that also has great performance, which I guess in a way makes it a bang for buck, but not really, because that's not the definition of bang for buck, according to Laurie Bassier from TechNotice. I don't even know if I say his last name right. I'm still struggling with his last name. The first thing we're going to do is take a look at simulated benchmarks, both Geekbench single core and multi-core, as well as Cinebench 2024. And as you can see, it's not the best simulated benchmark performer. Now, from there, we're going to move into our creator benchmarks. We're going to start with Photoshop, and the X16 has a comfy 697. However, if you're going for ultimate performance, you might want to consider the Lenovo Legion Pro 7i. It has 1,000 points more performance inside of Photoshop, but that comes with the Intel i9-14900HX, and that's quite a loud laptop. Comparably, it's going to have much higher thermals, and it's just a different approach. Now, going ahead and moving down the line to 3D modeling, this laptop has great 3D modeling benchmarks, a 300 in Autodesk 3ds Max, a 452 in Autodesk Maya, a 336 in PTC Creo, and a 118 in SolidWorks. The X16 outperforms the comparable G16 as far as the components are concerned in every benchmark except for SolidWorks. And as I'm working through this video, I might actually do a head-to-head review of the G16 versus this laptop. That'll be a pretty interesting review. I might actually enjoy that quite a lot. So keep an eye out for that video. I'll produce that video here pretty soon. Because I originally put it up against the Legion Pro 7i because it's traditionally kind of my favorite gaming laptop. But it seems like the G16 might be a more direct competitor. So we'll talk about it. Next thing we're gonna take a look at is the 4K export time. Take a 9-minute 4K clip, put it into Premiere Pro, export out at full quality 4K YouTube settings. We do that also for the 6K export. So you can see for the 4K, 2 minutes and 17 seconds. Looking at the 6K export, 14 minutes and 48 seconds. Again, one of the best performers that I've seen on my channel. And when you look at the G16 comparatively, it comes in at 16 minutes and 15 seconds. So definitely have an advantage by choosing the X16. It has very well optimized components within the device, runs quiet. Again, like I said, it was about 56 decibels of fan noise, but they were not loud, but they were not an annoying frequency. They're very much a dull sound. So I really thought it handled the export time and the noise and thermals very well. Only hit about 102 to 103 degrees Celsius during the 6K export. Now, one of the best results I saw for this laptop was, of course, the playback. 0 drop frames for 4K, 0 for 6K B-RAW, only 8 for 6K red footage, and then I was even able to test 8K B-RAW and 8K red. Only 3,875 for 8K B-RAW, and then 4,068 for 8K red footage. This laptop can handle up to 8K red footage without any large performance issues. Really, really great. The biggest struggle I had over the past few months of reviewing this laptop was really the price to performance. A lot of people are highly critical of a laptop that has premium build, but doesn't have all the performance and still give them like a really good price. It's just unrealistic for a brand to produce a laptop that's such high quality, still has great performance, and then like just cut the price and lose all their profit. So we have to be reasonable in the idea of how much a laptop is valued at. When you look at laptops 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years ago, the price has not increased at a rapid rate compared to the performance increases that we have seen. The performance and the price increases have been quite reasonable. What you're getting with this laptop that retails around $3,100 is a very thought out design. If you're looking for a laptop that has excellent design, build quality, and great performance, not the best performance of any laptop on the market, but great performance, a fantastic keyboard, a solid screen, an absolutely great cooling system with upgradable storage, a really fancy trackpad, and excellent speakers on a 16-inch gaming laptop, which honestly is a very rare commodity. then the Alienware X16 R2 is a fantastic buy. If you're curious about the exact pricing and availability of the X16 R2, you can head down in the description below and click those links. If you do make a purchase, I'll get a small commission, but at no extra cost to you. But of course, that's what keeps this channel alive and the helpful content coming your way. I'll see you in the next one.